Singers don't usually have a mic this close. I was like, oh my god.
Hello.
Hi.
Obviously you're a nerd, like us. I mean, you're really into this stuff, and I love that in a voice actor. So I was wondering, since you're a nerd like us,
I'm a nerd who cleans up well.
Yeah. A little bit.
Okay.
What would be like your favorite anime or game that you haven't worked on?
That I haven't worked on?
Yeah.
The anime that inspired me to become a voice actor, The Vision of Escaflowne. It was actually when I saw that show, which is so ridiculously gorgeous, that I thought, I need to get into this industry so I can work on that show. Unfortunately, it got sent to Canada, so I wasn't able to work on it. But that was my impetus to get in, to start working in the anime industry, because I really wanted to work on The Vision of Escaflowne. And to this day, it is probably still my favorite anime TV series. I'm not sure I've seen, there's certain ones that come close, but nothing for me quite touches Escaflowne.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry.
Hello.
As much as I love your dark, brooding vampire, one of my favorite shows has got to be Revolutionary Girl Utena.
Revolutionary Girl Utena, yes.
Do you have anything to say about working on that show, or any fond memories?
I have very fond memories of working on Utena. What was funny is that there used to be a really great anime store in Boston, and I was there doing a show, a theater show, and I walked in and was talking to the guys there, and they said, you know, there's this cool show called Utena coming down the pike. You should see if maybe you could audition for that or something. And I went, really? Okay. 2 weeks later, I was auditioning for it in New York, because luckily it got picked up by the licensing company in New York that I was working for, and so I had a chance to audition for it. And we started working on it, and from the very beginning I was like, what is this show? This show is amazing. I think probably right after Escaflowne, I'd probably put Utena, because Utena is probably one of the most original stories in anime I've ever seen. And it's so fantastic to have such a sophisticated girl story. That's one of the things I love about anime, is that when you go to an anime convention, and historically, I went to my first Otakon in 1999, you know, the gender balance was usually pretty close to 50-50. There were about as many boys as girls. At Comic-Con in San Diego in 1999, oh no. It was mostly boys and a couple of girls. So Japan has always had a much better gender balance when it comes to storytelling for boys and for girls. And to have something like Utena that is so sophisticated in terms of its storytelling is just fantastic. So it's actually the core of one of my mythology presentations it's called Mystics, Priestesses, and Warrior Women. It's all about the female hero journey, both in Western animation and in Japanese animation. And Utena sort of is the anchor of that presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Like, oh God, he's going to start talking in Sanskrit again. What's he going to do? Yes.
I was wondering, the sub versus dub debate is pretty big in the anime community.
Really? Still?
I still see it quite a bit.
Just push a button, watch what you want.
But I was wondering how you felt about it.
You push a button and watch what you want. I mean, the sub-dub debate made a lot more sense back when things were on VHS tape. Because you had to choose. You had to decide whether the VHS tape would have subs or dubs. And historically, back then, in the sort of early to mid-90s, dub videotapes outsold sub videotapes 10-1. Because a lot of places like Blockbuster and video rental places didn't want to have subtitled cartoons. Like, they couldn't get that in their head, that didn't make sense to them. So if it was a cartoon, it had to be in English. So a lot of those companies, The Right Stuff and Central Park Media and even Bondi, was having to release stuff, and they had to make dubs, otherwise the videotapes wouldn't sell. The moment DVDs came out, it was like, okay, we're done now, right? Because you can just click a button and choose whatever you want, and so what's the stress? So I don't know why there's still a debate. Only because people like to argue. People like to be offended. I have found that people really like to be offended when there's no reason to, and I kind of go, oh, they like make up things to argue about. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you. I'm a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, and I understand that you did work. Yeah. And I understand that you did the voice voice of Sundowner in Metal Gear Rising?
I did. I was pretty happy too.
Yes. I just want to say real quick that you did an amazing job. It was awesome, and I want to know, how did you do it? How did you get that Alabama accent?
I don't know. I was working with Chris Zimmerman, who's the voice director on all the Metal Gear Solids, and Chris and I have worked on a bunch of different video games together, and she's a wonderful director. And she knows that every once in a while I can go a little country, and so she pulled me in for this guy, and she said, I want, and I did him pretty big and rough, and she's like, more. I was like, more? Okay. And so he was just this huge, hulking, you know, here's like it was back in 9/11. And I was like, you want it that big? She's like, more. I'm like, okay. I'll just start slathering barbecue sauce on, you know, I got but it was fun because it's rare that I get to do characters that big. People don't usually look at me and think, oh, he can do Southern real well, you know, like it doesn't click. So it was fun. And I used to have a sort of block against doing a Southern accent. There were certain relatives that I didn't want to be associated with. But we're okay now, we're all friends, so it's all good. I was younger, I was embarrassed, I didn't know what to do. So yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
Awesome. Can you also do a small line for me?
Sure,
in
which
this
one?
voice? Can you say kids are cooler, Jack, and I'm in touch with my inner child?
Well, kids are cruel, Jack, and I'm in touch with my inner child.
Well, thank you. I'll be here all week. It'll be fantastic. Wonderful. It's great to see you all. Next question.
Yes, my question is kind of two small questions. That's
Your next question is right off the mic. What was that question again?
Oh, sorry about that. Is it true that you did motion capture acting for a game called Castlevania Curse of Darkness?
Yes, I did. I played Hector in Castlevania Curse of Darkness.
Well, my question is, how was that for you as a voice actor? And did you enjoy doing that?
It was very enjoyable as a voice actor. I also did the voice of Matthias in the Castlevania game that came just before it, and the challenge then was they got actors in Japan to do the motion capture, and then they had the voice actors in America do the voices. The problem was, we as the voice actors might have wanted to do the delivery a little differently, but we were tied to the motion capture performance. And so the next time Castlevania came around, they thought, why don't we get the voice actors to do the motion capture? Luckily, I'm actually trained in Kung Fu, so it sort of helped to be able to do some of this stuff. And so they flew us out to Tokyo, and we actually did the motion capture in an office in Tokyo. And the director on it was the guy who was the animation director on Southern Cross, which is the middle saga from the Robotech series. I'm going real old school now. But the second saga of the Robotech series was called Southern Cross, and it was the first Robotech I ever saw as a kid. And that was the animation director who was directing us for the motion capture. So it was like fanboying out on him. And it was like, you did Robotech. So yeah, we did that, and it was a lot of fun. What was also fun was that my character was the main character, so I didn't get any weapons, because you never know which weapons the player might choose. But all the other guys had weapons, but none of them knew how to use them. Because white guys in Kung Fu films are always sort of kickboxers. They never get the cool Chinese weapons. But that's what I'm sort of expert in, is weapons. And so I was like running around teaching everybody how to use their weapons for the motion capture, which was sort of fun. So, but it's very, I also did both the motion capture and the voice in Resistance 3. I played the character Charlie Tint. He looks like, he's got big old Elvis mutton chops. And he's also sort of, he's not quite Alabama, but he's more sort of Missouri. And that was fun because we actually did facial motion capture too. So you can sort of, even though it's not my face, you can see me do the same facial motion acting, which is sort of trippy.
Thank you.
You bet.
Hi, first of all, I'd like to say, despite watching the episodes like a few days before this, thank you for reminding me I need to look for Vision of Escaflowne in the dealer's room after I do this. Second, mostly all of the characters you played, whose backstory did you find most interesting or deep?
Huh.
Electro!
Electro. I'll tell you his backstory. Lick finger, put it in the socket. That's his backstory. Wow. That's tough. Everyone's like, Itachi, we're going to answer the question for you. Okay, let's do Itachi and Amon from Witch Hunter Robin. Now, I'm not sure if these were the most interesting necessarily, but they were the ones that I either figured out or had the toughest time figuring out. With Itachi, I came in to play Itachi. I didn't really understand his role in the show at first, because he only shows up 80 episodes in. And I thought, how important can this character be that, oh my god. You know, it only took a couple of lines, and I started going, oh, I see who I am. Okay. And Mary Elizabeth was like, yeah, that's why we need you to play Itachi. I was like, I get it now. He's, okay. And so here he is, you know, being all mean to his brother and everything. And after the first episode, I thought to myself, I think he loves his brother. Because why the hell else would you spend so much energy focusing on this person? I mean, to get in his face and say, you don't have enough hate. You know, I mean, to do that, you don't do that unless you care about the person otherwise just kill him, right? If you really hated him, just kill him. So from the very beginning, I was like, I think he loves his brother. And fans were like, no, he's a bastard, he's evil, you know? And then like 3 years passed, and they go, oh my god, he cares about his brother. And I'm like, called it. That's one of those where it's really good for me to know that when I'm playing the character, so I can feather that in all the way through, and so I got it. Another example is Amon in Witch Hunter Robin, who goes around hunting witches. It's sort of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but they're witches instead of vampires. And Amon is all broody and dark, and usually when a guy is broody and dark, it's usually about a girl. He's like, he lost a girl, or he wants a girl, or he wants to be a girl, I don't know. Something, but he can't get what he wants. And so I was looking at him and going, Amon is broody, but if he was broody about a girl, he would act differently towards Robin. But he's very dismissive towards Robin. So it's not about a girl, what is it? And it was the night before I had to go and record. And usually if I watch like the first 4 episodes of a show, I can figure it out, like I get it. I watched the first 4 episodes of Last Exile, and my character Alex Rowe, I said, it's about a girl. He's upset about a girl, got it, we can move on. But I watched the first 4 episodes of Witch Hunter Robin, I go, I don't know what it's about. 8 episodes in, I still don't know what it's about. 16, I still don't know what it's about. 20, what the hell is this guy's damage? It's like 4 in the morning. And I have to record that same morning, and I still don't know what he's upset about. In episode like 24 of 25, it finally comes out what he's upset about. And I'm like, thank God! And I walk into the studio like all bleary-eyed and tired, and they're like, what's wrong with you? I was like, I know what Amon's upset about. Quick, roll, it'll be great. So that was one where it took me a long-ass time to figure it out. And if I had not known that, I would not have been able to play him that well. And they used some of my lines from the very first episode when they were promoting it on Cartoon Network, because it had this bite to it, because I knew what he was upset about. And they would use it in the promos on Cartoon Network, and this guy would go, what, you know, are you what they call a hunter? And Amon with like the gun in his face was like, probably, you know? And I wouldn't have known to deliver the line that way if I hadn't known what was bugging him.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to say Itachi is my favorite character of all time, so thank you.
Welcome.